Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome into another year of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes, and we're happy to be back here. Coach, this starts our what? 6th year, 7th year, 8th year?
We're going on our 7th year, Ron.
7 years, Coach.
Oh, 7 years. Time flies by real fast when you're having fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You don't look any different from when we first started way back when.
Well, I have not aged.
Not at all. Shirt's a little bigger, but that's all I got to say. We're going to have a great year this year with the McNeese Cowboys, the 2012-2013 version in men's basketball. Coach, you've got a lot of young faces. We're going to hopefully familiarize our viewing audience with the young kids, but you've got only 2 seniors and you got a whole bunch of sophomores and juniors.
You're right. You know, we got Dontae Cannon and Jeremy Mitchell returning starters from last year's club, and then everybody else, I tend to forget, call different names in practice. So we got a lot of young guys. Of course, Kevin Hardy, who played here locally, and Deshaun Guidry, who played here locally. They got a lot of minutes last year when we were depleted with injuries, so it really helped us in that aspect of it. But you see a lot of exciting new faces. They're still trying to work in our system, still trying to get better every day as a player. But there's a lot of good young talent on our team this year.
And Coach, we wanted to let the fans know this year, fans are back to the doubleheader conference games. So whenever you come, if you come to a girls game, you just sit through for the boys game, so you really get 2 for the price of 1.
You're right. We start 30 minutes after the girls game, and that's you come out and support both clubs. You get an opportunity to see women. So last year, sometimes we're on a mirror image as far as playing. They would play at home and we would be on the road, but now you can get both games.
You know, the amazing thing too, Coach, is this is the time, and fans, really for you, the greatest success in McNeese basketball history, really, because you've had great years. The men's program has had 2 wonderful years back to back. The women's programs, same thing. They've gone into postseason play, both programs. So if you like quality basketball, this is the year for you to come watch McNeese play basketball. Coach, we got a lot of things to talk about this year. We have, in this particular program, we're going to talk a little about your pre-conference season, and we're going to talk about your early games in the conference. Now, you're playing a whole bunch of conference ball games, so it's very, very early in that.
Right. We got 18 games, 9 at home, 9 on the road, and that's going to be different from last year's format. Some of the teams we only played once. This chance we get opportunity to play twice, home and away. So it's going to be a little bit more interesting. So you got to prepare for those teams twice. You don't have to wait till the conference tournament to play somebody you only played once. But I like the format. I think it's a good format for our league, where the double hitters are back in place for us, right. And again, it gives our fans a lot of opportunity to see both teams play.
And fans, we're going to be with you for the next 10 weeks talking Inside Cowboy Basketball. Stay with us. We're going to take a pause. We'll be right back with more of the show. Welcome back, and Coach Dave Simmons, we want to look back on the pre-conference season, so to speak. I generally, in my mind, split your seasons up into 3 segments. You got pre-conference, you got conference, and you got post-conference. Oh. So pre-conference, the Cowboys open up with, again, and you do this every year, a very ambitious schedule, pre-conference, to get your team, I guess, ready for the wars in conference, right, Coach?
Right. We look at it as a learning process, and if you're going to, be a good basketball team, you want to play the best people you can available, especially early in the season. It gives us an opportunity to get some guys some good experience. And this year here, we got a very young team, so I thought it was a great moment for us to go out and play some of the people we played, not only in the at home but on the road. So the experience was good. We came out on top on the preseason part of it, and we felt like that would help us prepare us for conference.
Well, Coach, you're looking at some of the victories you had in preseason. I thought a big one was UL Lafayette. When they came over here to Burton Coliseum, you guys handled them quite handily. And after that, the momentum just increased as Louisiana Tech was your next victim. And then you you go on the road and you knock off Texas Tech. I mean, that's pretty impressive stuff in my mind.
You're right. You know, it's just like this, they always say, "There's no place like home." We're very fortunate to have 4 home games in a row and that we won, and of course, Lafayette UL was in part of those games, and it's a big rivalry game. You know, we're only an hour down the road, and both teams compete against for players and recruiting. It was one of those things that we felt like we needed to get done and win, and we did that. And of course, then we rolled back, and Louisiana Tech, old Southern Conference teams who have always been great rivalries for McNeese State. So we felt very confident. We were very fortunate to get those 2 teams to come in and play us, and we came out ahead. So that was pleasing as a coaching staff and team, and to help a young team get some confidence.
Coach, let's go back to the ULL game just a little bit. You talked about the recruiting and 90 miles down the road. Do these kids in this generation really appreciate the rivalry, the intense rivalry that used to be here when it was USL against McNeese, or do you spend time associating them with some of the rivalry?
I think when you come in as a freshman, just like any freshman, you have no clue on anything, a lot of things. But I think the guys who've been here a couple of years understand the magnitude of the game for our program, plus the fact that anytime you get a guy from that area, you said Adrian Fields. Adrian had one of his best games since he's been here as a McNeese Cowboy. I remember he had 19 points, was unbelievable that night against Lafayette. I don't know if it's a motivation because they didn't recruit him, or the motivation because he had some friends on the team. But whatever it was, he had one of his best games. So I think that is a guy like Adrian, of course, the coaching staff, because we've coached in this league a long time, understand that. But the biggest thing is just getting those guys to understand we're competing for this I-10 champion, this road championship. And, you know, we like to be the one that people talk about in this area versus a Lafayette. No matter if we're not in the league with them, but we want to always come ahead and when we play those type programs.
And then, Coach, of course, the big one, the big road contest was going to North Carolina to play University of North Carolina. Tell me a little bit about the aura, the environment, and the whole deal when y'all got there.
Totally new. And you know, you get it, everything's got to be a positive, no matter how it comes out on the scoreboard. It was a great opportunity to go play a program that those kids see every day on TV. They go back, they can call a history out of it. And I knew I was in a little trouble when we walked into the building and the Dean Smith Dome, and I was wondering where everybody was going. I'm walking in, I was talking to bus drivers as you come through the tunnel, and I thought these guys were getting their shoes off, getting ready to shoot. They all were in the stands. I said, where are you going? And look, they, you know, at this day and age, technology, they have their camera phones, and they taking a picture.
You're talking about your team.
My team. Yeah. I said that's the effect that it had on them. And then, you know, as a coach, my thing was, hey guys, we here to win a basketball game. We here, you know, I was preaching to them, but I don't think it was going in. But for as a player, you know, a lot of times you play against teams and you see Roy Williams, who's on TV all the time. That's see him just as cordial a guy. You know, he wasn't cordial for those 40 minutes, but as far as a coach, and you hear a lot of things, how a gentleman he is. Very respectful, very gentleman type attitude. You know, before the game and after the game, when he come up, had a lot of compliments.
I saw a picture of you shaking hands with him, which I thought was pretty cool.
Well, it was at that time. I didn't know what that handshake mean, but I understood at the end. But
it meant get ready.
Get ready. Yes, but it was very nice. But you know, you want to show your team and your kids that, look, those kids, even though they got all the All-American status, but they put on their shoes just like you do. It's a team that plays hard, execute, and you can go back and look at history. Those teams have gotten beaten before, and we just weren't ready as a young team going into that environment. But you hope your team will play good. You want to be proud of them, and you just give everything they have for those 40 minutes. Yeah. But it was a good experience, and I say it was humbling in a way, and showing you where you got to go, how hard you got to work to get there. And cool. I said that was a good experience early for our guys. And if we are very fortunate in this long race to get to the conference tournament again, get to the finals, win that thing, you're going to face somebody like that. Right. So that was another thing in the mind. You let them know what it feels like now, where you don't have to worry about that later going into that game. It wouldn't be an hour later.
Makes sense to me, Coach. All right, fans, we're going to take a pause and be back with more right after this break. Welcome back into more of Inside Cowboy Basketball, fans. We're here with our student athlete guest this week, senior Dante Cannon. Dante, you've been around the McNeese program now this is your 4th year. You're out of Alexandria High School, Ash as it's known. And yes, when you made the transition from high school ball to college ball, it was kind of a learning experience for you, I would assume, and you got to learn from the bench and from practice there the first year you were here, but you have blossomed considerably. And what would you say is the highlight memory for you thus far in your career at McNeese State University?
Probably the highlight was winning the conference championship my sophomore year. That's probably the highlight so far.
How about playing in a couple of postseason tournaments as well? Did that impact you very much?
Yeah, playing the conference tournament my sophomore year and last year my junior year, and playing in the NIT tournament.
NIT is pretty cool. How about Boston College coming to visit you here at the Civic Center? That had to be a thrill.
Yeah, that was a pretty good experience playing them.
Yeah. You ever watch them on TV? You ever see them on TV and say, feel a sense of pride that you've tangled with those guys?
Yeah, one of them played the Reggie Jackson. He plays for the Thunder now, so I can see him in the NBA now. He plays for the Thunder.
Come on.
Yeah.
And you remind yourself how you chewed him up at night, huh? At least you played against him, right? There you go. You were telling me a story before we came on the air of what you did with your championship ring. Most players either wear them or put them in a safe deposit box or whatever the case is. How about you?
I actually gave my ring to my mom so she can have it.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
That's very sweet. I'm sure it made a big impression on her. Does she have it displayed, or does she have it under wraps somewhere, or what?
She usually just keeps it on her dresser.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, let's talk about this year's team now. You got the preseason is what I call it, pre-conference under your belt. Some pretty exciting victories in your pre-conference schedule. ULL comes into Burton Coliseum a couple of weeks ago, and y'all handled them. Then you got Louisiana Tech that came in here, and you handle those guys. Then you go on the road to Texas Tech and handle those guys. Any idea as to why y'all were so successful against those 3 teams?
Around that time we got into like a good flow of playing with each other, and everything was clicking right. Offense going good, playing good defense. So we caught those teams at a good time.
Tell me about the chemistry of this basketball team. Now, you've been around 4 editions of McNeese basketball, this being your 4th. Do you see the chemistry beginning to gel on this team? I know it's early in the year. You're also a very young basketball team. Does that have any impact on the chemistry of this team so far?
Yeah, early on in the season, it had a factor with our team being so young. We're only 2 seniors and a couple of juniors. So the chemistry is coming along now.
Now, you've seen it both ways, though. You've seen it, Dante, when you were a senior-laden team back when you were young.
Yeah. And
now you're not a senior-laden team. You're a sophomore, a freshman, and you and Jeremy Mitchell are the only 2 seniors on the team.
Yeah.
How would you compare the 2 situations for you?
Well, when we had a lot of seniors, those guys, they had been through a lot and had a lot of game experience. This year, we don't really have too many people except me and Jeremy that's actually played like in big games and stuff like that. So it's a bit different now.
Do you ever take the opportunity to kind of be a mentor to some of these younger guys and tell them, well, I've had that in my career up to this point, and this is how I handled it, whatever the challenge may be, whether it's a big-time school in a big-time arena like you guys saw at North Carolina, or maybe something as subtle as making free throws?
Sometimes I just try to tell the game, we got to take every game like it's important, and that's just the big thing, really.
Do the young guys listen to that sort of thing? I mean, do you get an opportunity to talk to them?
Everybody on the team listen. Everybody gets along pretty good.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about being a McNeese Cowboy?
probably we got a good coaching staff. Everybody's loose and laid back. It's not too tough or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the academic side of the university? Have you been pleased with all of that? I mean, has it been a real challenge to you? Oftentimes athletes face the challenge of not enough time to study because they're on the road, they're traveling, they're playing games, they're at practice, that sort of thing. Have you gotten around that obstacle?
Actually, McNeese, they got a good program. It helps us. We got like study hall and stuff, so it helps us with time management and stuff like that.
The biggest challenge, time management, seems to be the case. Dante, thank you so much for being on the show. Good luck to you and the Cowboys. We'll be watching you, man.
Thank you.
Dontae Cannon with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this pause. Welcome back to more of Inside Cowboy Basketball with head coach Dave Simmons. I'm your host, Ron Hayes. And Coach, let's talk a little bit now about your early conference games. You've had, as at the time of this filming, you've only had 2 games, and they were both on the road against 2 of the better teams in the Southland Conference, as your team found out.
You're right. You know, we're looking at those games, and it's like 2 different games. One game, Northwestern State. Obviously, it's going to be, we've always played well up at Northwestern, and obviously they played well here too also. But the biggest thing about those games, we knew it was going to be a fast-paced game. We had to handle the ball, had to rebound with them and make shots. And again, on Saturday, we're playing Stephen F. Austin, which is a more of a slow, methodical game. So we had to prepare for 2 different teams at one pace. And trying to get, when you're young, and they've never been there. I only had 2 guys, basically 3 with Adrian Fields, who didn't play the last time up there because he was injured, but Dante Cannon and Jeremy Mitchell, who guys who have been through those battles with him, and trying to get our young team prepared mentally to play in a tougher environment, a different stage, and this is conference race. Everybody's going to be coming out the gates. We're all 0-0, and trying to get young guys just coming out of high school, getting off the yellow bus to understand that part, how important it is. You can't turn it on when you hit the court. You got to be prepared mentally every day going into it. But we know that was going to be tough games going in. You know, they're picked quite high in our conference race.
Both teams.
Both teams, and you know, Northwestern's off to a great start. I really thought going into the game, watching the team play, this is one of his better teams that it had in the last few years, depth-wise. I knew that was going to be a tough game for us, but I felt like we were ready for it. And then, you know, the Stephen F. Austin game, you know, they were 11-1 at the time we approached them. But in New and Danny, they're always very good at home. And they've been a very good basketball team.
Top defense in the country.
Top defense in the country. We knew that was going to be one of the things. And we've always had battles and had problems over at in Nacogdoches. Yeah. But those 2 games, knowing they're going to be tough, and I know it's tough road, but anything, like I said, anything that happens in this game early, no one's going to go undefeated in our league. Because the teams, you talk about the word parity, obviously we're still trying to figure ourselves out as a progress. And I felt like going into the game, knowing that they had played games and we had been, I was concerned about, we had been off a long time. And with a veteran team, it doesn't hurt you as much. But we've had such a young nucleus, and I saw some of the signs of rustiness as far as play. You know, and that kind of was a worry of mine going into the contest. But you still got to play that contest no matter what. Yeah. But I think it got us a little bit. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to correct from the Northwestern game to correct what we were going to face.
You really only had a day.
A day of, and you're always concerned about health-wise. Yeah. You know, you got to have energy going when you're on the road. Sometimes the fatigue factor gets to you. But it was a good experience for us going early, knowing that the biggest positive thing I've told our kids, we lost 2 games on the road that we know we could have played better and probably would have been in a position to win one of those games. And I said, but we'll be a better team the next time we face those teams. You got to remember that. We'll be a better basketball team. And plus you got them at home. So
we got both of these at home.
We have both of them at home. The league's back to a round-robin doubleheader. So the girls will play before we play, and then we just got to come within 30 minutes after that. we have a game.
Good.
So we just got to get used to that new format again, and be ready to play a lot better than we did on the road.
All right, Coach. Fans, stay with us. We'll take a pause and be back with more right after this break. Well, Coach Dave Simmons, the McNeese Cowboys, thankfully are back in Burton Coliseum here for the next couple of ball games.
Right. We've been away from Burton for a while, so we're glad to be back. I think our players are back to be back at their home court, main court here, but it's going to be exciting. We're starting to get conference race started. Got some good games coming up, so we're excited about getting back here in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and playing in front of our fans.
Tell me a little bit about the games you got coming in. Corpus is coming in, I understand.
On Thursday, we got a 5:30, and immediately after the girls' game, that'll be at probably around 7:30. Game doubleheader against Corpus Christi, who's in the league. Of course, we'll play them here, and then we'll play Sam Houston State on Saturday. So that would be obviously a good contest for us, and we got a 4-game home stand, which we've been very good at home. We haven't lost anybody at home, and hopefully we can continue to do that and defend our home court.
Does the chemistry still, or the formula still remain the same? You want to protect your home turf 100% and pick up a couple of steal wins on the road?
No question, no question. I think if you go back and look at the teams that won this league, they've gone undefeated at home and they've split on the road. So obviously that's a big task, and just anybody going undefeated at home in this league is very tough. But we've been able to do it. We've been able to go and get some wins on the road. So that's what we're looking for this team. We're trying to win them all. But also that guy that's sitting across the opposite bench, and that team's trying to do the same thing. So we know the format, and we want to get that same format that we've been successful the last 2 years.
Coach, in about 20 seconds, the biggest challenge right now for your team, is it chemistry? Is it getting the team
I think
to
it's
merge?
chemistry. We got so many new players, and we're still working on chemistry. And you say you're working on chemistry late, but when you got so many new faces, so many young people, each preseason and conference is totally different. As far as playing these games means a little bit more than obviously they all mean a lot, but these conference games matter to us a lot more because we know what the golden prize at the end of getting to the NCAA tournament.
Okay, Coach, well, fans are going to run us out of here now. We got the girls coming into practice, so Coach Simmons and I are going to exit. We'll see you again next week with more Inside Cowboy Basketball.